by David Balutanski. Right there.
Nice. Brothers in Arms, one of my favorite albums. Hello, my name is David Balutanski. This story is about porn, and being a late bloomer a little bit, and Louisville, Kentucky, those things. I was a late bloomer. I mean, I was one of those guys that hit puberty around 15, which sucks because I went to an all-boys Catholic school, and we had to, like, shower in gym class, and, you know, when you're 14 and you're showering next to a guy who hit puberty at age 12 and he has chest hair, and you have a walnut-sized penis, it's absolutely horrible. But I did hit puberty in Louisville, Kentucky in around 85. Yeah. And let me backtrack and talk a little bit about Louisville and growing up there. My parents are from the East Coast, but my dad got a job when I was in kindergarten and moved us there. And well, all I can say is it was just so boring, so normal, so regular, and so plain. The subdivision we lived in was called Plain View. We lived on Livingston Gilbert Court, which was named after like a Walter Cronkite kind of Louisville famous broadcaster, like a legendary news guy on local TV. So they named our court after Livingston Gilbert, and I don't know why. So in Plainview, we're there, and the neighborhood is just, everyone's just trying to be, I guess, live out the normal American dream 1980s life. Just, I can see the Kennys, the Boulets, the Kurzes, the Thiels, the Jennings, just everybody. Dad worked, mom stayed at home. In the summer, we would ride our BMX bikes to like TCBY and like Arby's. Like that was the day. And like maybe play racquetball at the Y. And I remember being so hungry for something to change or something to be different. And one time Reagan was on TV and I was yelling at the TV, like I wanted him to like start a war or something. I was like, Dad, things are so boring. And he was like, that's a good thing, Dave. We want things to be boring. I remember him saying that. We want peace, stability, normalcy. So I would listen to a lot of metal, like that was an outlet. But then I hit puberty and I started to have a sexual awakening. But no one in my neighborhood, let's just say the dads were all boring. Because, you know, as teenage boys, you guys know the dads that had the Playboys and stuff and the penthouses. And I mean, it's not like now where these kids can get on the internet and pretty much see anything they want. Porn was like gold for us back then. I mean, some kid would like open his Velcro wallet and have a little, you know, wrinkled picture of a nude lady, and it was like 15 guys would be standing around trying to see it. Gold. So this kid Brad moved in, and his name was Brad Garvin, and his dad was the porn dad. The kind of dad that kept Playboys out on the coffee table, you know? Yeah, a bunch of them too, spread out. Married, you know, had a wife, had a daughter, but loved his Playboys. Brad's dad also had Playboy Channel, which we could like decode and break into with a butter knife in the cable box. So we'd have sleepovers and we'd watch Playboy Channel. And then I discovered Penthouse forum letters. And this blew my mind because, you know, looking at pictures, fine, watching Playboy Channel, fine, but these were stories, and I was like, holy shit, these are amazing. Now, there's one problem. I was gonna bring, I printed out a Penthouse forum letter, and I was gonna bring it here, and I lost it on the way here. Because I wanted to read an example of one, but my wife and I were walking around town, went to Starbucks, went to ABC Home and Carpet, somewhere around there. We went for sushi. Somewhere this Penthouse forum letter is at one of those places. So somebody's gonna find an awesome Penthouse Forum letter with my scribbling in the margins. Yeah. The story was about a couple named Doug and Linda. And they wanted to spice up their marriage. They picked up a girl at a bar, brought her back to the hot tub. If you don't know the Penthouse Forum letters, they all start out with, you know, I never thought something like this would ever happen to me. I've been reading your magazine for years, but finally it did. They pick up another girl, they bang her in their hot tub. There's a lot of mentioning of throbbing. That's a huge thing in Penthouse Forums. There's always creamy thighs, throbbing. You know, of course, the minute Doug puts his penis inside this woman, she comes. That's another big one. That's how you know these things were written by men. Women are constantly and quickly coming. Boom! So I love these Penthouse Forums. But the problem is they were at Brad's house. So I couldn't have access to them like I wanted. So I started to write my own Penthouse letters. I got a yellow legal pad, and I would do it in cursive, and I wrote out all these awesome stories. And then I would masturbate to my own stories. I mean, seriously. Truly masturbatory writing. And, you know, if I got bored with one, I would, you know, or if I got tired of them, I would rewrite a new one. And so I had all these great stories. I would jerk off to them. One day, I came home from school, and my dad was home. I saw his car in the driveway. And I walked into the kitchen, and my parents were sitting there, and I thought it was odd that my dad was home, you know, around 3:30. And as I rounded the corner, I saw the yellow legal pad on the kitchen table, all wrinkled and shit, you know? And I just froze with just terrified, just froze with fear. And I just stood still, and they were both looking at me. My dad motioned me to come in and sit down, and they were like, what are these? And first of all, I was really pissed off, because my mom is a snooper. She would find anything, and she did. And I was just like, oh, I was mad about that invasion of my privacy, but I hid it under my bed. Like, what an idiot, you know? Could have come up with something better. But they seem to be kind of white and visibly shaken. And I was totally mortified. Now, there's a twist here that I need to tell you about, though, because in my stories, the people in my stories were the people in my neighborhood. So all of these people on Livingston Gilbert Court were getting fucked. Across the street, Tom and Linda Black. One story, I tie Tom up and make him watch me fuck Linda. There's girl-on-girl action in there. Neighbors hooking up. My mom told me, and she's not religious, but she pulled out, that's not right, that's not God's plan. Men and women are not supposed to, or men and women are only supposed to be together. And I was just looking at her like, no, I didn't. I was scared. And there was talk of sending me to a shrink. My dad brought that up because he didn't know how to handle it. He came from a working class background, not a very touchy-feely guy, and not a good emoter. And I think he just didn't know what to do. He almost wanted to just ship me off and let somebody else handle it. So, but in my fear to deflect this and deflect some of it away from me, I said, I got these ideas from Penthouse Forum. Like, I didn't come up with this sick shit myself. Most of this is from Penthouse. I just kind of, you know. So now I'm a plagiarizer, which sucks, but. So my dad says, prove it. He wants to see these. So I have to get on my bike. And I ride all the way to Brad's house. And I tell Brad what happened, and I need the Penthouse forums. So he has to go sneak them out of his dad's closet, because he didn't keep the penthouses out, only the Playboys. And I brought the Penthouse forums back to my house and sat at the kitchen table. My mom had left, and my dad and I sat there with the yellow legal pad and these Penthouse forums. And I kind of went through the forums and said, like, yeah, that one. That's one I kind of used and got inspiration from. And then he'd read it. I mean, I'm sitting there in silence as my dad is reading a Penthouse forum letter in front of me. And I'm like, I know what he's trying to do, but I was wondering in my little brain, like, can he read this clinically, or is he getting turned on right now by this? I was wondering that. Like, I was thinking, how can he just read this without being like, yeah, this is pretty good? But he kept pretty stoic during the whole time. And then he closed the final Penthouse and said, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And that was kind of it. And I went upstairs into my room and I built a little shame cave in my closet. Had a sleeping bag and like a clock radio and a little lamp. And I went in there and I think I laid in there for like 7 hours, just mortified. And my dad came up like 7 or 8 hours later and just kind of opened the door, and he just motioned for me to come out. Like, and that was it. It's never been spoken of again. But we continued to live in that neighborhood, on that street, for years. July 4th and block parties and barbecues and just hanging out with the neighbors. And I was always looking at my parents and thinking, what are they thinking of what I'm thinking when we're hanging out with all these neighbors? Like, and the truth is, I was thinking about fucking them.
These are the people in your neighborhood. These are the people that you wanna fuck.